Doing the Valentine's Day writing tag. This tag was created by Year of the Author, whose original video I'll link down below. But let's get right into it. Oh, also I want to say though, I have my People Do Crazy Things When They're in Love shirt with Hercules and Meg, and I just wanted you to see it because I love it so much, and I love Hercules and Meg so much. It's great. They're great. Okay, anyway. Question 1. Are you a romance writer? And if not, would you consider writing romance? So personally, I like romance in books, but I tend to read more and write more fantasy and sci-fi with romantic subplots. So I am not a romance writer. I don't necessarily always like a perfect happy ending. I just like them included. So that goes into the romance genre. I have some issues with the genre, not like issues as a reader or that like it shouldn't be the way it is or it should be changed, but as a writer personally. So the romance genre requires a happy ending or happily for now ending, which for me as a writer, I don't want to like promise that or be restricted to that. So I don't have any story ideas that are just straight romance, and I don't really want to tailor an idea for a genre that has ending requirements. If I did write a book that fit perfectly in romance, I would advertise it as that. That just makes sense. However, for me personally, I don't like the ending being a given, and I don't always like to write happy endings. I don't want to go out of my way to write romance specifically because of those restrictions, but if I did write one, I would advertise it as that, and I wouldn't resist it. Number 2, what is your favorite romance trope and how would you use it in your work in progress? So my favorite romance trope is a slow burn romance. However, my current work in progress, again, it's not a romance book, it is a book with a romantic subplot. So I do enjoy the romance, however, the main plot comes first, but the romance also ties into the main plot, which means the romance has to fit the pace of the main plot. So in an ideal world, I would make the romance as slow burn as possible. However, I am not writing a romance book, which means that the romance has to fit the main plot. And this romance actually ties a bit into the main plot, so the characters have to fall in love at a certain point. So for me, a slow burn could be way slower than I'm writing, but because I like slow burn, I'm making it as slow as I can given the plot restrictions. Whether it will come across as slow burn or not, I'm hoping it does, but because I have to have them be together by a certain point, the way I'm doing that is by having them interacting so many times and slowly grow to trust each other through those interactions instead of having it be instant. So even though it won't be as late into the story as I sometimes prefer, I am working hard to make their love feel slow burn. However, my second and third favorite romance tropes are forbidden love, which my book has, and afraid of love, which isn't really a trope, but I made it up as one, and it's pretty much where one character is afraid to be vulnerable and in love in that way. Example would be Meg from Hercules, who after having her heart broken, selling her soul to save a guy who immediately dumps her, she's afraid of love and of opening up, and it's Hercules' sweet and kindness that allows her to open up, counteracting afraid of love. So that's kind of a trope I made up, but my book has that because I like it. Number 3, which romance scene are you most proud of writing? So I haven't written too many romance scenes. I have written a lot of scenes with the characters getting to know each other, but they aren't super heavy romance scenes. I would say actually though, my favorite one is one that will need to be edited, but it's one I jumped ahead to and wrote that takes place later in the book, in a scene where the main character pretty much thinks she's gonna die. She ends up going off with her love interest and they have some time together and he comforts her, and it's really sweet and I like it. I do need to change some of the stuff, but overall I really liked having him comfort her. And also there is a bit of conflict. It's not pure happy and lovey-dovey. There's some conflict between the two characters, which I enjoy. Not like screaming at each other, but things happen. It's the Roman Empire. It's a bit messy. But I really like that scene. And one thing about the love interest is he doesn't talk a lot. And while a lot of books I read, the love interest says a lot of the right things, it's super romantic, I'm trying to write like the awkward characters who are trying their best, but they don't know all the right words. So it's fun to write him, but also it takes a lot of self-control not to just write all the words and have him spill all the romantic beans. You need to be subtle and awkward. Number 4, when it comes to writing a sexy time, what is your go-to pick? Explicit scenes with all the steamy details, light mention of sex occurring, but it's nowhere near erotic, or 3, the classic fade to black and keep it clean. So me personally, I haven't really written that many, but I know as a reader, I've read erotic before. I actually did a video on it, which I will link. And I'm not into erotica. I don't find it erotic or romantic. I just find it weird and funny when they mention all those body parts below the belt. I'm like, you said that word, or like, ew. So I'm not super into erotica, so I probably don't think that's what I'm going for. And I could do fade to black sometimes, but I think me personally, I do like to write things out, and I do like to be fairly detailed, so it'd probably be more like writing the scene, but more focused on emotions and just general emotions. Maybe that will be what I do. Maybe I'll change my mind and just fade to black. We'll find out. Also, like what I could write versus what I want to publish so people can read might be different levels of comfort. Number 5, name 2 characters in your work in progress that need to fall in love, but will they? So this question, I know the author writes on Wattpad, and it has to do with readers wanting characters fall in love, but not necessarily meaning they will fall in love. So because if they need to fall in love, then I'll write them falling in love. But it could also mean, when it comes to my book, there is a main character, Sonia, and she has a love interest who I don't want to name because I'm not a fan of naming love interests before the book comes out, even though I'm not going to be like, oh, plot twist, this is who she likes. Like, it'll be slow and gradual, so it's not really like crazy twist or anything, but like, I just don't like saying the love interest before the book comes out. You can figure that out for yourself. When it comes to the romance, the characters will fall for each other throughout the book, but whether or not they're endgame for the series and stay together, that's to be determined. I haven't determined the exact ending for this series. I've gone back and forth with different wants and desires, so I don't know if they'll be the endgame stay together, but there will be a romance in book 1. Will it end that way for the series? We'll see. Number 6, do you have any LGBTQ plus relationships in your book? And if not, will you have other books with it? We're going a bit on tangent. Yes, I do. And one thing about ancient Rome that's interesting is how they view sexuality, because it's not the same way we do, where it's man, woman. In the Roman Empire, it was dominant, submissive, and you can imagine how that would work while doing it. So, but generally, they didn't care as much what women do. Now, a man and woman would still be expected to marry, to have kids. However, when it came to men, the dominant and submissive roles were legally important in the Roman Empire, because if a man was a Roman citizen, he could only be the dominant role or it'd be considered a disgrace. So if a Roman citizen did it with a not Roman citizen and the Roman citizen was in the submissive role of sex, then there would be legal issues. Either it was non-consensual and was declared rape and the non-Roman citizen would be castrated, or if it was consensual, the Roman citizen would be disemboweled. So it's pretty messed up. I'm trying to explore as many avenues of Roman culture as possible, and I want to explore that too. I'm not saying I'm disemboweling like any of the characters, but I want to explore as much of the culture as possible. So the book has a lesbian couple and a gay couple, and it does look at some of their different struggles and fears given the culture they are in. They aren't the main characters, so that's not the main focus of the book, but they are an aspect in the story. Number 7, how do your main characters feel about Valentine's Day in your work in progress? So Valentine's Day isn't a thing in ancient Rome. They did have Lupercalia, which was possibly predating Rome, but it was celebrated in Rome, and it was a pastoral festival celebrated from the 13th to the 15th of February to avert evil spirits and purify the city and promote health and fertility. So I guess the fertility is somewhat Valentine's Day, but I'm just gonna focus on our version of Valentine's Day and just assume if they were in a situation where that was a thing and there was a romance day. So the main character, she'd probably think it's cute and be all like curious about it and be like, oh, I want to do it. But then like if any dude like came up to her and be like, hey, want to go out? She'd be like, oh gosh, oh no thank you, no thank you. Like she'd be interested but too shy to do anything about it. And then the love interest wouldn't give a crap. So that's my answer. Number 8, offer one piece of writing advice for writing romance. My advice is to be patient. Hold off on each part of the romance as long as possible. Now that doesn't mean wait till the last moment and have them realize they like each other, immediately kiss, do all the things at once, like push everything back. Don't do that, but be gradual. So if you have a certain point in the story where the characters need to be together, like they need to kiss at this point, let's say, have that point or the moment right before it be when they kiss. Have it be at the last possible moment when they do it, and then have the lead up to that be gradual. So don't have it be 0 to nothing. Don't have them instantly like them and just falling over them pretty like stagnated until boom, kiss. Have it be a gradual rise to the last possible moment where you need that to happen. Because I've noticed a lot of writers want the characters to swoon over each other right away, or they're so into the romance they just shove it out as soon as possible. But you got to be patient, because the longer you make the readers wait for it, the more they'll be pining for it, and the more invested they will be when the characters finally get together. So this is a personal note, but if the characters thinking about how hot the love interest is every time they see them all the time, it annoys me. And it, like, a lot of readers like it, so I don't really think that's a good tip, because they're like, oh, the love interest is so hot. But me personally, I don't care, and in fact I find it off-putting and annoying. Stop telling me how hot the love interest is, please. Like, it's okay sometimes and a little bit, but like, gosh dang, some books need to calm down. But yeah. Anyway, those were all the questions and all my answers. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will be tagging Greener Side of Sam, Julian Greystoke, Vanessa Marie Creates, and Dal Cecil Runo. And any of you who want to do this, or if you don't have a channel and just want to tell your answers to the questions, feel free to do it, or leave your answers down below. I would love to hear them. Also, if you have any opinions on my answers or what I said about my characters, if you think my characters sound like you would like their romance, or if you think my tips are right, or you disagree with my tips, or if you have a tip I could use for writing romance, or just your number one tip anyone could use, feel free to leave it below and we can all read and learn from each other. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you later.